YouTube, what is up? I didn't like that. Let's flip it back. I tried to do something different. Didn't really enjoy that. What is up, YouTube? It is Baseball Nerd back with another MLB video. That intro felt way better. The last one felt just weird. But today's video is our power rankings, my power rankings specifically, going over all 30 teams. Free agency is pretty much over. Jake Odorizzi's still out there. Looks like he might sign with the Phillies, Angels. I saw the Giants thrown out there. Doesn't matter. Most of the guys are gone. So I feel like it's a perfect time right before spring training to give you guys my power rankings. When I start off at the bottom and work my way up, as I do it, I'm probably not going to go too in-depth into my reasoning for the lower level teams. They can kind of mix and match at the lower bottom, and then the top teams can mix and match at certain points. So when I get towards the top, I might give more of my reasoning behind it as some teams that are closer. But at the bottom, if you're the difference between a 28th and 27th best team in my power rankings isn't that big. They're both not going to be great in my opinion. So that's where they're going to be. We're going to jump right into it. As always, please like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and come back for more MLB content. I'll see you guys over at my power rankings. So jumping right in at number 30, we have the Pittsburgh Pirates. I feel like they are hands down the worst team in baseball. But right above them at 29, we have the Baltimore Orioles. Not a bad year last year for the Orioles. They're just, not a team that's going to compete with anybody, especially in the AL East with the Yankees, the Blue Jays, and the Rays. Moving on to number 28, the worst team in the AL West, in my opinion, the Texas Rangers. They have a couple good players there. They lost a lot of pitching, though. Don't think they're going to be that great. 27, I have the Detroit Tigers. They have a lot of good high prospects, especially, looking at Casey Mize and some of the other pitching prospects they have. They could be decent in their pitching. I just don't think their position players will do much, so that's why I have them at 27. 26, I have the Colorado Rockies. After they traded away Nolan Arenado, they went down big. I feel like Trevor Story's not going to get an extension. I feel like he will be traded this year, but you never know what's going to happen. Either way, they're in a tough division in the NL West. 26 for them. 25, I have the Kansas City Royals. I actually really liked their offseason. I feel like they tried to, get better, which is fun to see teams actually do that, but they're still just not there yet. They still have some years before at least a year or two before they're competing, in my opinion. 24, the Seattle Mariners. Man, their outfield is going to be stacked in about 2 years. They're going to be insane with Rodriguez, Kelenic, and Kyle Lewis. Going to be insane, but they're just not there yet. Still have a lot of good young talent coming up. They're definitely not bad, but they're not good enough yet. 23, the San Francisco Giants. I feel like they're the opposite of the Mariners. They have a decent amount of veteran guys. They still have Joey Bart coming up, but their pitching staff and looking at their infield right now, a lot of older people, Buster Posey, Longoria, Crawford, Belt. Tommy La Stella, I love him. I think he'll have a good year, but the Giants just aren't going to do much this year, especially, like I said, the NL West is stacked. And that brings me to 22, the D-backs. I feel like the Diamondbacks actually have a decent team. They just have a very tough division to play in, and I don't think they're going to be any of the top teams in their division. I like their pitching staff with Zach Gallen. That's about it. Mad Bum, I don't think he's going to be insane. Their lineup's actually not terrible, but too many question marks and not enough oomph in that lineup for me. So moving on to 21, I have the Miami Marlins. I feel like they made the playoffs a little prematurely, and they knew that. That's why they didn't go and sign any big contracts this offseason. They still got a little time, and they have one of the tougher divisions in the NL East as well. Number 20, I have the Boston Red Sox. I think they could surprise some people, but I don't think they're going to be a big playoff team. And if they somehow squeak in, they're not going to be a World Series team, in my opinion. So that's why I have them at 20. 19, I have the Cincinnati Reds. I think their pitching staff with Gray and Castillo could still be decent. And the lineup on paper is, still a really good 1 through 6, but that's about it. If they perform, last year they didn't really perform well, even with a decent amount of good bats. So that's why they're at 19. 18, I have the Chicago Cubs. Losing Yu Darvish and Kyle Schwarber definitely hurts in my opinion. They still have their, Bryant, Rizzo, and Baez, and Ian Happ had a good year. Jason Hayward's old. Kyle Hendricks is good, but I just don't feel like they're going to be anything more than the middle of the pack team, which leads me to number 17, my Los Angeles Angels. It pains me to put them here. I just think we have too many question marks as well with Upton and Ohtani and some of these all of our pitching staff. Don't know how they're going to perform, but we still have a really good lineup, and I feel like it's going to be even better this year. So Angels 17, feel like that's a fair spot. 16, I have the Brewers. The only reason I put them above us is because I think Yelich is going to bounce back. I think they have a really good bullpen, and I think their starting pitching is better than ours. But other than that, I think our lineup would, definitely stack up a little better than theirs. Brewers 16. Feel like these middle of the pack teams are very close until we get to 15. The Cleveland Indians, I feel like their starting staff is going to be insane. They have Jose Ramirez, and they didn't get a bad return for Lindor with Andres Jimenez and Amid Rosario. But other than that, I don't feel like they're going to have too much in the lineup department. I feel like they're going to end up trading Jose Ramirez at some point this year. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like they will. But the pitching is always going to be good in Cleveland. 14, I have the Houston Astros. I feel like they've just fallen off. Losing Springer hurts. Losing Verlander hurts. They lost Cole a couple of years ago. I don't think their bullpen will be bad. I think their starting staff will be okay. And the lineup's going to be one of the better ones in the AL West, but it's not going to be the best in my opinion. Astros, I feel like 14 is a good spot for them. I could see them jumping up 3 or 4 spots or jumping down 3 or 4 spots. 13 right above them, I have the best team in the AL West in my opinion currently, the A's. And I feel like on paper you might not say they're better than the Astros, but they got some good young pitchers coming up in AJ Puck, Jesus Luzardo. They got Trevor Rosenthal. They got back Yusmeiro Petit. They lost Liam Hendricks and lost Marcus Semien that I think are big hits. But as of last year, Marcus Semien didn't perform too amazing. I know the year before he was top 3 in MVP, but they got Elvis Andrus to replace that. A's, I think 13 will be a good spot for them. Number 12, I have the Philadelphia Phillies. I feel like they're not super underrated, but definitely underrated. They're in a tough division, but they retained all of their people, position players from last year, which was a top 10 offense in the league, getting JT and Didi back. They also have another year of Alec Boehm, and they got bolstered their bullpen a little bit. Archie Bradley, big addition, and their bullpen was definitely their weakest point last year. So seeing them add some pitching there is definitely going to help them out. Number 11, I have the Tampa Bay Rays. Excuse me. I know they just played for a World Series and barely lost. Didn't barely lose, but they didn't get their butts kicked too bad. The Tampa Bay Rays, I just feel like losing Blake Snell and Charlie Morton and Hunter Renfroe, and then just I don't know. I just feel like they're not going to make it this year. It's not a 60-game season. I feel like they're not as strong as these other teams. I know they find a way to figure stuff out and use their younger guys and use the not as expensive guys and kind of ace it, not have to pay a lot but still make the playoffs. I just don't see them as a top 10 team in my opinion. Coming in at number 11, though, we have the Washington Nationals, a team that I said I felt like they won in 2019. They didn't have a great year last year. Some injuries, lost Rendon, that's a big hit. But adding Josh Bell and adding Brad Hand and adding Kyle Schwarber, I feel like this team could definitely step up and surprise a lot of people this year. And tough division in the NL East, but I think they're going to have a good shot at making the playoffs. At number 9, I have the St. Louis Cardinals. I think people are sleeping on this team. I think they're the best in the NL Central. Don't forget how good their bullpen is, and they're adding Jordan Hicks back. Don't forget they're adding also Miles Michaelis. I don't know how to pronounce that name. I'm terrible at spelling and pronunciations. But they're adding that back, and then they added Nolan Arenado, arguably the best third baseman in the game, going to help out Goldschmidt. Carlson, I think, is going to take a step up. I think this whole team will be very good in 2021. Number 8, I have the Toronto Blue Jays. I think this team is young. They added Springer and Semien, some veteran bats. I think Vladdy looks like he has definitely stepped up and took this offseason very serious. And then they bolstered their bullpen a little bit. The starting pitching definitely is going to be their weakness this year, I feel like. But I still think they're a really good team. And Ryu had a really good year for them last year, being their ace, and I think he'll still hold that down. They just need some more depth in their starting rotation. And if Nate Pearson takes a big step up, maybe they go higher than 8. But at number 7, I have my arguably the second best team in the AL Central, the Minnesota Twins. I know they're close to the White Sox. I just have the White Sox a little bit above them. Because they lost Trevor May, they are losing Jake Odorizzi most likely. And they brought back Nelson Cruz. They let go of Eddie Rosario, but they still have a good young team, and they have a lot of good bats, a pretty good defense, adding Simmons and then Buxton in center field. And they still have that 3-headed monster of their starting rotation. So I think they're going to be a very good team in 2021. At number 6, right outside the top 5, I have the New York Mets. I think they're good. Everyone has them in the top 5. I just want to see more from them. They didn't make the playoffs in a 60-game season, and I don't think that's the end-all, be-all. I know they added a lot of good players. They're getting Syndergaard back. They're getting Stroman back. But I got to see Stroman and Syndergaard pitch. I think they're going to be a very, very good team. I just want to see a little bit of how they play with all these new faces. But I do think they are going to be much better and definitely a top 6 team. At number 5 are the Chicago White Sox, adding the best closer in baseball as of the last couple years in Liam Hendricks. Their young offense is going to have a couple more years added on now of experience with Luis Robert, Eloy Jimenez, and Nick Madrigal. Adding Adam Eaton back, I think, was a nice move. And then trading for Lance Lynn, people are acting like he wasn't one of the best starting pitchers last year. That's a huge addition to their team. The White Sox, I think, are just a very well-balanced team and are definitely in the top 5, in my opinion. Number 4, I have the New York Yankees. They didn't make the top 3 for me because I think there's too many question marks on this team, too many injuries that have happened with Stanton or Judge or Gary Sanchez just falling off last year. Severino coming back, Kluber, Jameson Taillon. If all these question marks pan out, they're going to be a top 3 team, no doubt. If they don't, though, there might not even be top 6 or 7. So we have to see how the year pans out. I feel like 4 is a very fair spot for them. At number 3, I have the Atlanta Braves, and they brought back Ozuna. They lost Duvall. They lost, maybe Mark Melancon, some bullpen pitching, Shane Green, I believe, as well. But they added Charlie Morton. They're getting Ian Anderson on another year of getting better, Max Fried, as well as adding back Mike Soroka. So I think this team will be just as good, if not better, than last year. The bullpen's going to be the weakest point, but I think they will be fine. Number 2, I have the San Diego Padres. They just missed out on number 1. I just feel like their lineup's slightly worse than the number 1 team, and I feel like it's a little more top-heavy. Their bullpen is a little worse because of this team went out and upgraded their bullpen even more, and then they just don't have the starting pitching depth that this other team has. So that's why they're number 2 for me, but I can see them at 2 or 3 and pushing their way up to 1 depending on how good they play this year. But at number 1, I have the World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers. The lineup's stacked all the way through. They have young talent, veteran talent, all the way across the board. They got home run hitters, contact guys, whatever you want to call it. They have an amazing bullpen that they've bolstered this offseason, bringing back Blake Trinan, getting Corey Neville. And then they signed Trevor Bauer to make that starting rotation even more deadly. Julio Urias, Tony Gonsolin, and Dustin May might find themselves pitching some innings out of the bullpen, and those guys would all be starters on any other team. So that's just insane. Dodgers got to be number 1. They're the most stacked across the board. This team is insane. I feel like they're the next dynasty starting up right now. We'll see how this season goes, but that's my power rankings for 2021. Let me know what you agree with or disagree with down below, who you'd move up, who you'd move down, and as always, like, subscribe, turn notifications, and come back for more MLB videos. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.